So we got to catch people up on the Christmas Day games because there were some interesting games happening on Christmas Day. So let's start at the Garden. The Knicks, the Hawks, that rivalry from the playoffs. Trae Young wasn't even playing, but the crowd was still trying F Trae Young, even though he weren't even on the court. But the New York Knicks came to put on a show. That Obi Toppin came to put on a show. And boy, that kid can fly with a high motor. I want to see that kid getting more minutes because I love what I'm seeing from Obi Toppin. He plays with energy on both sides of the ball. But did anything stand out to you from that game? Because Atlanta, even since then, haven't been on a great run of form, especially defensively. They've really been struggling.
Well, Atlanta has really been a disappointment thus far during the season. And we can contribute that to a lot of different things. But in saying that, all teams are facing the same, right? We have COVID, injuries, so forth and so on. But this is a team, Mo, that last year got to the Eastern Conference Finals. And suddenly now they are finding themselves on the outside looking in. Now, at some point, we would hope that they are able to get all their players back on the court, health, and get back to, playing basketball the way we've come to expect now the Atlanta Hawks. Last year, they get to the conference finals. They are the darlings of the media, Ice Trae.
All the hype.
And now, all the hype. And now suddenly they're not even in the playoffs right now.
They're currently 16-19, sitting at 12th in the Eastern Conference. The Knicks as well, who were the 4th seed last year, currently at 11, 17-20. So both teams under 500 by 3 games right now. Do you see a trade on the horizon for the Hawks? Because they have got some young guys in Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter. They're not going to be able to pay all of these guys. So they might need to move them whilst they can still get a return. Do you see them shaking things up before the deadline or holding off until the summer?
Well, I think it's going to be really tough for them to put together a trade knowing that their team hasn't been healthy, knowing that their team is missing games because of protocol, but everyone can say this. But I think they like their group. Now, I do expect maybe Cam Reddish to get moved. Why? Because I think he's probably the one young player that's not going to be in the rotation. And I don't see him entering into that rotation in the foreseeable future. But I think he's a good player. And I think at this point, he could get something back, maybe like a future first-round pick or a good veteran player to address some other needs that they may need with their team. But I do think this group, overall, I think the organization and the management loves this group, this core group. But right now, they're not healthy. And, you are who you are. But right now, I still think they believe that they are better than what their record shows at this particular time.
Now, I'd look for, if there was another contract going to be moved, I'd look for Gallinari's deal to be moved because only $5 million of that is guaranteed next season. So it's a very team-friendly contract. But, speaking of teams who are underperforming and disappointing, I don't even want to talk about my Celtics because Giannis Antetokounmpo came out on Christmas Day. Celtics were up, 13 points with 5 minutes left? Giannis came back on the court. Reminding everyone who's the best player in the world right now.
Talk on him, Mo.
Dominant force. And we've seen Giannis in the last few games looking unstoppable. He's climbed to the top of everyone's MVP ladder. We'll talk MVP in a minute. But listen, the Bucks, even though they lost PJ Tucker, they can still hang with anyone in the NBA. But we're not going to talk about the Celtics pain, even though shout out to Jaylen Brown last night dropping a 50-piece and, the 7th player in Celtics franchise history to drop a 50-piece in a comeback win against the mighty Orlando Magic. I don't think you need to be making comebacks against the Orlando Magic, but the Celtics got it done last night. But let's talk about the Christmas Day game that everyone wanted to see. The Golden State Warriors and the Phoenix Suns, the 2 best teams in basketball. They split the season series so far up to Christmas Day, 1 game apiece. And then on Christmas Day, the Warriors came out and they got it done. Shout out to Otto Porter Jr., 19 big points. I was going to say 19 big buckets, but it wasn't 19 buckets. It was only 13 buckets. 19 points for Otto Porter Jr. and the Golden State Warriors against Phoenix Suns. Potential preview of the Western Conference Finals. What are you thinking about that one?
Without question, I thought thus far, during the regular season, that was the best game of the season. I thought there was a lot of coaching going on. I thought there was a lot of guys jockeying for a position. And more importantly, I thought both teams put a lot of emphasis on this game. Coming in, those were without question the two best teams, not only in the Western Conference, but in the entire NBA. And the Golden State Warriors really put a lot of emphasis on this game. They came out right out of the gate and made a drastic move by putting Draymond Green on Chris Paul, picking him up full court. That was a big time move. That's a move you normally wait and hold off. Most coaches would wait till the postseason to do that, but they did it in the regular season, and it paid off dividends for them.
No Iguodala, no Andrew Wiggins. What I love was guys like Gary Payton, second, stepping up, spoke about Otto Porter Jr., and I think the adjustments that Steve Kerr made in terms of using Steph Curry, because he's getting so much attention when he's being screened off the ball, to slip those screens and just cut back door sometimes, opening up the floor for his teammates was a fantastic adjustment. But the Nets and the Lakers was probably, when the schedule came out in the summer, that was the most anticipated game. Obviously, We're talking about Warriors and Suns, but before the season started, we were all thinking it'd be the Nets and Warriors. KD, LeBron, KD was in protocols, so he didn't even play in this game. James Harden, for everyone saying he's washed back to form, he had a triple-double, and the Nets secured the win. Now, we could speak for hours about the Lakers, but my one question to you, BJ, is because a lot of people thought that this Christmas Day game could be a turning point in their season. If they got a good win, national TV, get the fans behind them again, but unfortunately it didn't work out. Do you see this group of Laker players turning it around in time for the playoffs?
I do not. I do not, because this is Lakerland, and the Lakers are just into putting banners up in the rafters. And I don't see this group, as this team is currently constructed, achieving that goal. Now, on paper, they have a big three. They have LeBron James, as you mentioned, Anthony Davis, who's currently hurt, and they have Russell Westbrook. They have Carmelo Anthony. They have Dwight Howard. They have some big names, a lot of star power. But for whatever reason, Mo, it hasn't happened for them. Now, why it hasn't happened? Chemistry, I think age. I just think this group doesn't fit basketball-wise. I think they have some good players. But for whatever the reason, whether it's protocol, whether it's injuries, age, spacing, we can point out a lot of things. Sometimes, Mo, it just doesn't work. Sometimes it does work. And I think for this group right now, with this, when they put together this roster, they had championship aspirations. I don't think this is a team that's going to pull this one off, especially this year. Does
it remind you of when the Lakers went and got Steve Nash and Dwight Howard back in the early 2010s and thought they were putting together a contender, and it just didn't work out then either?
Well, the one thing, Mo, I do love is when people, especially organizations, when they push their chips to the middle of the table.
I love it. I'm here for it.
I'm here for that. So make no doubt about it. They put this team together thinking they were competing for a championship. And on paper, Mo, they piqued my interest.
Mm-hmm. Same. I picked them to come out of the West. I'm not even going to lie about it.
Okay. But as you can see, Mo, it's not working. It's not working for them. It's not working. So, I think they are continuing to try. I think they're playing, they're winning a game here or there, but they're not the dominant team that we all expected, especially, the experts. Laker Nation is, they've already won the championship in the summer when they put this group together.
Man, when I see the Talon Horn Tucker putting up to Summer League like he was a vet, even though he should really have been playing the games. Like, let's speak on it. But having said that, the one caveat of saying that they went all in is they should have paid Caruso. They just want to avoid the luxury tax. I get it. It's a lot of money, but if you're going all money in, word to the great Nipsey Hussle, you got to go all money in. But the final game on the Christmas Day slate was the Dallas Mavericks and the Utah Jazz. No Luka Doncic for Dallas. They still hung around, only lost by 4 points. Porzingis, looking back like the Porzingis we had come to expect before all the injuries. Jalen Brunson has been a star for this Mavericks team, really playing that role of the primary ball handler now, especially with Luka Doncic out. But the Utah Jazz did what the Utah Jazz do in the regular season. They came away with a W. Do you think this is the year the Utah Jazz finally get over the hump?
Mo, I feel like a broken record. I say this every single year.
Yeah, but we used to say it about Milwaukee, and they got over the hump. Albeit they don't have a Giannis type player on the Utah Jazz.
Thank you, Mo.
But-
Thank you.
But all I'm saying is, and you know me, I'm as skeptical on the Utah Jazz as anyone. A few injuries, not that you can rely on injuries, but look at the Phoenix Suns last year. The chips just fell in their favor. LeBron and AD were injured, and Kawhi was injured, and Jamal Murray was in. They walked through straight to the finals. So that's all I'm saying. Is
I'm going to wait and see. I have to respect when you win in the NBA, regular season, postseason, what have you. You have to respect the Utah Jazz. They play a good brand of regular season basketball. However, Mo, you and I know the postseason is a different brand of basketball.
Different animal.
And so far, this group hasn't come up with the right formula to advance deep in the playoffs. They were the number 1 seed last year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they lose to a team minus Kawhi Leonard.
Speak on it. But
enough said.
Yeah, we'll keep it moving. Listen, I want to circle back